My name's Rob Brophy. I manage Inks Installations, J.L. Baker Roofing, and Bronson Roofing. I came 2022 from commercial flooring, actually, in the union, and a big commercial background, and turned over to residential when Justin offered me an opportunity, and I took it, and it's been going great ever since.
I'm Ryan Yeckley. I run Three Rivers Roofing and Houlihan Roofing. I'm a carpenter by trade. Started off very young, residential additions, new housing, remodeling, roofing, siding, all that good stuff. Went down the path of very big commercial work, high rises, stadiums, college campus buildings, big commercial stuff. And I ended up coming back residential with Justin. Took over the roofing, and now we do a lot of restoration work on the carpentry and roofing end, and new roofs, a lot of exterior carpentry. So when we acquired Three Rivers Roofing, it's a pretty small outfit, but they specialized in specifically roof repairs only. They didn't branch out. It was just roof repairs. So when we took over, we started branching out with our carpentry background and started leaning more into more box gutter work, more soffit work, fascia work, even into small additions and decks, basically all exterior carpentry. But roof and restoration is our bread and butter. It was I won't say it was seamless, but it was a pretty good transition over, because a lot of the roof and repair has some basic carpentry in it with specialized roofing. And we're just building it from there. Anything exterior, we can do it.
I came over to Inks in September 2022, and at that point, up until that point, I was used to running work. I was used to being efficient at work and thinking, forward thinking, and managing some guys on the job, and it was roughly 2-3 guys maybe. And I came over to Inks, and I think there was 40 employees at the time. Met Mike for the first time. Huge help, huge inspiration, super positive guy, a million miles an hour. So my head was spinning already from changing careers, and all of a sudden I had 40 people, 80 eyes looking at me, asking me what to do, and then trying to take the reins from Mike a little bit. It was a lot. It really was, and especially because the fact of the matter was, I was far outside of my comfort zone. You know, I was in now managing a bunch of projects that I didn't understand, or I didn't know how to see through to the end. You know, so coming into a company like that, especially with that many people, there was a certain amount of faith that I had to lean on these guys with, you know, to help me understand and be honest with me of what they needed and how it needed to be done. And for the most part, I mean, everybody, all the employees that were there were great. You know, everybody. Patty, Mike, all the other estimators were good, and everybody took their time with me and tried to help me along as much as possible. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it was my show now, and it was pretty scary. It was a lot, you know. But Justin didn't hire me based on my knowledge of all the trades. You know what I mean? He hired me based on my work ethic, and he knew whatever was in front of me that I was going to put in whatever I needed to do to make it work, you know. And that's not by coincidence. He understood that. We go back to 2013 when myself, Ryan, and Justin owned some buildings and built some self-storage facilities, opened up a couple businesses like that, and back then we were working 80 hours a week for years, you know, just doing what we had to do to make it right and do that. So he knew what I was about. It was just the fact that like it was going to be time. It was going to take time for me to learn and understand. And like I said, a lot of the guys, especially at Inks, were extremely helpful with that, and Patty and Mike. But the more businesses came, the easier it got. J.L. Baker came about 11, 12 months after that, I believe. It was a very small outfit, so it wasn't too difficult, but it was still on the other side of town and bouncing back and forth. You know, buy a roofing company in October, and by November they look at you like, well, where's all the work coming from? Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. But we kept them busy, you know. They worked, and they have work today still, and those guys have a better life, I believe, now than they did back before the company was sold. So, and the last one was Bronson Roofing, another small outfit, did big volume though, pretty decent volume. I had some help with that, so I wouldn't be able to oversee Bronson without the help that I have. Chris Revac and Gary Bronson and Brad Bronson. You know, the people that come with these businesses are just as important as the business name, as in, you know, in the past history and in the future. We're relying on them. You know, we want to keep them. They know the business. They know how to operate. That's why things don't change that much, and they can still become or stay profitable, if not even grow more. You know, we might have bigger dreams than the old owners. We might see things a little bit different, or take a bigger chance. But at the end of the day, like the roots are the same, and those people, they need to stay there, and we need really rely on them.
I think too, there was a lot of trust when Justin brought each one of us over at our given time. A lot of trust, a lot of background, a lot of me and you both have a no quit attitude. Go after it. We see things through, no matter how miserable it can be at times, for sure. But you know, there's a end goal. You know, there's a end goal, and you know, quality and reliability. You know, we want to be those people that everyone calls when they want something done. You know, there's a lot of people out there. We try to strive to do better, for sure.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. I think my pride overcomes or outweighs my comfort in laziness and anything else. Like I want to be the best. I want people to talk about our company like we're the best. And there's, you know, there's a specialty roof, and there's only one company I know to call. You know what I mean? And you want it to be yours or mine, and we just that's the kind of people we are, and I'm just not really going to sacrifice my comfort and my, you know, I don't know, my
and I think that
I don't want to say happiness, because I am happy, but you know, just do what we have to do. No quit.
And I think, you know, even though we're not young anymore, we're still younger than some of the people that have been around for a long time. So I think we have some different views to make some more things more productive and more efficient, safer, you know. And that just comes with, you know, it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks, but, you know, I think we've done a pretty good job getting older fellas to buy in to what, you know, the world's changing. I mean, it's changing underneath me, where like I'm not young. For years I remember being the youngest, you know, running work at a super young age, and everyone was older than me. It ain't the case no more. So now there's even younger kids that we're bringing up that have newer thoughts that I think's helping out with it too. It's kind of funny how I ended up with the second roofing company. It was kind of like, hey, I'm buying another roofing company. It's yours. There was never like a, hey man, you think it was like, hey, we're gonna buy this other roofing company too. I was like, oh yeah, they got any guys? You know, that was my first question.
Obviously,
You know,
no.
a couple. The owner stuck around, and I would say he gave us between like 6 and 9 months. It might even have been a full year, and I'm sorry that I don't know that, but everything runs together when we're running all this. But Paul Houlihan was his name, and he stuck around. It was awesome. He was huge help, was still estimating work. You know, I was getting to know his customers because a lot of his customers were repeat customers. They didn't call anybody else.
Right.
They called Paul, you know. And I still, to this day, I'm like, they're like, where's Paul? Go to their door and all, hey, what do you know, where's Paul? I'm like, you know, Paul. So for like a while, I was just
Paul.
telling everyone, Paul's trying to retire. Meanwhile, he was retiring, and I was trying to fill Paul's shoes, which I think I did a pretty good job of. And he's still around, you know, we can still call him. But like, it was a smooth transition. It was a little different. Like my background, you know, I'm running 40, 60 guys on one job, you know, focused on one project. You know, next thing you know, there's 5, 6 small crews all over the city, different parts of the city, maybe in a different county, and trying to keep everything going smooth, safe. It was pretty smooth. I think it worked out all right. Still going, still ever changing, ever driving, trying to, you know.
Yeah, Jeff at J.L. Baker, he definitely had a system, and it was, you know, show up every morning, drink his coffee, put the news on, you know. So after the acquisition, he did that, and I mean, he was like usual. He's contracted for 6 months, you know, but there was, you know, hey, you guys care if I stay? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, absolutely not, because he spent 2 hours a day. He would bill us for, you know, 10 hours a week, and it wasn't nothing crazy. And he would, you know, do his input wherever, and help get some guys out or organize some services, whatnot, you know. But everybody's been really easy to work with. All the old owners that we had, and so far Mike is the only one that really hung on. It's been 3 years now.
Loves it. I think
Loves
he loves
it.
it.
Yeah. He'd be down here right now outside probably if he knew this was going on. You know, just watching in the window. But he'll be here at 5:30 in the morning, just like every other day. But yeah, Jeff was he did the same thing. You know what I mean? A lot of those guys, they've done it for 40 years, and they don't know what else to do without it. I don't know if I'll be the same way.
I was going to say, I'm hoping not to be the same way. I'm hoping just to hand the torch over.
You know, yeah. But that's also that generation, I think, you know, they ran everything, and they had their hands in everything, and they wanted to be there every minute of the day, you know. And
I think it takes a little bit of control freak to run it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the best ones, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, you know, they see a little bit of change here and there, and it doesn't sit well sometimes, you know. But I give credit to Mike for his adaptability because I know how much, like, you know, a piece of paper is crooked on his desk, how much it can wig him out, you know what I mean? How we're in our new showroom right now, you know, and from his place he had for 15 years or more. So it's, there's definitely some changes, and he rolls with the punches just like everybody else, and it is about adaptability and trying to, you know, keep everybody happy and continue to produce the work and keep the guys busy through winter and everything else that they did in the past that we try to just carry on, you know.
Like when I mean, it's pretty simple. You either help me or hurt me, you know? Like, I'm pretty easy. I mean, I'll let someone know if they're messing up, but it's usually not my guys. They usually know what's expected. If I'm giving someone hell, it's for a reason, you know? If you make good money and you get your job every day and show up and you're responsible, I don't think, I'm trying to think how, you know, on the Three Rivers side, I know a few of the guys were a lot easier with me because I was just got it out front real quick what was expected and move forward, you know. I don't know, it's hard to say what some people think. I know some people probably think I'm a lunatic, but again, that goes back to like the control freak stuff. You know, you can't be a pushover in anything really, you know, but I'd like to think I'm pretty easy to work for. Do your job and it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Do your job, you get paid, you know, and there's,
I remember hearing some people call it before the closing even happened on some of these businesses. They called Justin and asked for a raise. That's what I've noticed. Sometimes there's a few people here and there that you made a certain wage for the last 20 years, and then all of a sudden overnight it's no longer.
yeah.
It's no longer a livable wage.
I didn't even think about that, but it's the same. It was
yeah,
the same,
right.
man.
Yeah, you know. But we got some. For the most part, I remember Richie. He tested me. Like I was like 5 days in or something, and I was like pissed because he was like. He just was like real vaguely told me to order something, you know what I mean? This shower system, weedy system for his bath, and I didn't know. I was like, well, okay, you know what I mean? And then he's like, well, you didn't order this and this and this. I'm like, well, you didn't tell me to order that, you know what I mean? But it was a test, you know, motherfucker. So I always bring that up because I always remember that. I'm like, this guy's he's the one that tests me. But thank God for Richie. He's a by far a key employee, huge help, huge asset, extremely knowledgeable, and you know he wants to test new guys here and there. You know what I mean? He's.
I bet you ordered all the accessories the next time.
Yeah, I had something to come back on it with, but justification why I didn't order that that curb.
We have never had the intention of changing up their positions or fucking any bullshit like that. It's like fucking.
No, it's you want it to run exactly the way it was running the day before closing, where it's self-sufficient, and then just kind of bringing you and I in to take the place of the owner and just kind of shadow the owner for X amount of time, and then just like continue that train on that track. Sounds easy enough, right? It really does, but there's 1,000 things that go wrong in a week. I swear to God.
For sure.
And that's why people that that's why they get rid of it. That's why they sell, and it gets you probably hit a certain age and it's too much to handle, and I see that.
Start disliking the public. There's a lot of customers to deal with, a lot of employees to deal with, a lot of retail guys.
I remember for the
union,
I went out to Vegas for a conference, and it was a collaborative leadership training. And though I didn't pay attention to any of it while I was out there was little tidbits that kind of stuck in me. How like there's 16 different personalities, and like with this personality you talk to in this kind of way, and then this personality you talk. And I'm like, this whole time I'm like, man, I should have listened back then, because I could really use that now, Where in the union, and not being a boss, I just said whatever I wanted, and however I wanted to say it, you know what I mean?
Self-awareness.
Yeah. So it was very different where like I should really try, and I try and I fail, conduct myself in a certain manner, react in a certain manner that I feel, and like I said, I'm not perfect and I fail often at it, you know, and I want to change that, but like things should be different the way I react and act sometimes, but
Self-growth.
yeah, I mean, awareness is one.
I try to explain to, you know, when something bad's going on. I'm pretty sure I've wrecked everything, crashed everything, broke everything, dropped everything, glass, mirrors, whatever. Like so like when I get hit with one of them, I'm just like, you know, first and foremost, hopefully no one got hurt. Hopefully we didn't break anything too expensive. But it happens, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I try to, you know, so it's, you know, and I think coming from the big background, the bigger job background, it's not that you get used to it, you're just like, I mean, there's nothing that like surprises me. Like we might get a phone call and somebody might think it's the most craziest thing ever, and we're just like this, reactive to solving a problem, make sure the job keeps going, you know?
Right.
So,
yeah.
and I think that, I don't know if that necessarily has to do with taking on other businesses, but, you know, there's a lot of problem solving.
Well, yeah, and I've noticed after 3 now is, you know, just like anything else, not that it gets easier, but there's certain things you do and certain things you learn you don't do, you know, where like maybe one thing I did early on at Inks that I thought was a good thing, you know, maybe I didn't do at Bronson when Bronson came along, just because like I've learned, and the little tweaks and the little adjustments are the things that don't scare people off and do scare the old employees and customers, you know. Hell, when we took J.L. Baker over, we immediately, like, that week, shut the phone line down there, and then brought it over here to South Park, and had his phone number forwarded to the Inks office number, and we were answering, which was stupid because we didn't know, though that office phone was ringing, we didn't know what number was calling, right? What number they were calling, so we didn't know. So then we started J.L. Baker or Inks Installation, or hey, this is J.L. Baker or Inks Installation, J.L. Baker, and then but like there wasn't a lot of phone calls started dying, you know, and I really had to look at that and was like, did I move too quickly, you know? Did I scare the employee or the customers? Because like you said, these guys have their clientele, and they've had their clientele for 40 years. Yeah. And you throw a wrench in that you know, elderly couple or people that are used to calling and relying on one person, and next thing you know, there's a woman named Karen answering the phone at J.L. Baker. They don't know what the hell to think, and I had to just only blame myself for that, you know, and take that as like a hard lesson learned, that like we keep the phones where they're at. You know, I want to say I wanted Gary Bronson answering the phone at Bronson Roofing, you know. So those are the little things that you start learning, and you know, not that it was like a tremendous mistake, but it was definitely a mistake that I wanted to change on the next one. So.
And that's what we were working through, because even when we got Houlihan, I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to deviate back and forth from Three Rivers and Houlihan? You know, even though Houlihan's a Three Rivers roofing company, but like people wanted to know where Pam was. Pam was Paul's wife. Pam was a secretary forever. Yeah. When people called, they talked to Pam. Right. So now they're getting Tiara. They want to know who Tiara is, you know, our girl. And it takes a lot. Like literally just yesterday, I was looking at a slate repair, and the guy wanted to know where Paul was. Right. And I'm like, I mean, I've been here 5 times since to like do different things for you, and I tell you the same stuff every time, but they don't care. They want Paul. And then where's Pam? They always, well, where's Pam? Why, I would always talk to Pam. I was like, Tierra's the new Pam. I'm the new Paul. Tierra's, you know, it's just like, and it is, it's quite comical. But at first, it is so damn stressful because you're like, you're trying not to alienate the customer.
Yeah, and you don't want to lose that clientele too, but you know.
And me and Paul rode around a lot when we bought Houlihan. Me and him were together. I wanted to see what he did, you know. Where I was used to running around all the time by myself with a ladder, no help, just estimates, doing whatever. Paul always had like a kid with him to hold the ladder, and so Paul would talk to the customers, and maybe the kid was doing nothing, maybe the kid was holding the ladder, maybe the kid was cleaning gutters. So then I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go with you for a little bit, Paul. I'm gonna see how he dealt with the people. But Paul was very hands-on, which I already was too. So like, I got a lot of trust, I believe, from Paul because he knew like we were in good hands. You know, we weren't.
When you were riding around with Paul, did he, and you went to these customers' houses, did he introduce you as, you know, this is Ryan, he's going to be running?
Yes.
You know, Houlihan's Roofing,
Yeah, he's taking over.
Yeah,
you know. And then we started saying,
Obviously,
I'm the new Paul.
Right,
Just trying to get.
Yeah. Let that sink in.
Let these people, and it was nice that we were able to.
Mike was good for that too.
Being part of the Holdings company, you know, me and Bob, even though we have a history before the Holdings company, we can lean on each other. We can, you know, if I got something going on that I'm not real familiar with, or even if I'm familiar with, he does a whole hell of a lot more of it, because I even call him on a weekly basis. Hey, where are you getting this? And then what are you paying? I'm like, oh, that seems high, or what, you know, we talk back and forth, we check on each other. And then being part of another part of being the Holdings is like, I go to someone's house and they need something maybe that I don't do, but I'm like, hey, here's Escajeda Masonry, here's Inks, here's Alex. They're up north, they're close to your place, you know. Like we have all these tools, we have all these companies, and I mean, like, you know, I think there's going to be a point where it's going to be one call, you know, one shot. You know, homeowner's going to call and we can take care of it, you know.
Yeah, just like we use the, you know, the old owner's experience for 6 months or however long they stay, you know, having other companies at your disposal like that to just call and either pick your brain or help with some work or this or that, it's an invaluable asset because. Like I don't know, and like I wish I could say like I ran other companies before, but I didn't. You know what I mean? So I don't know what the like the trials that they have to do, and I'm sure you know people have friends, and then they'll talk, but to actually be and sit in a monthly numbers meeting together and like go over our stuff and overanalyze everything and then be able to throughout the month talk and bounce things off of each other, even if it's a completely different job like masonry. We have nothing to do with well, sometimes we do, but like I talk to Steve a lot. I talk to Steve a lot because he was doing something for longer than I was doing it. You know what I mean? He has experience. Even though you know masonry isn't siding or roofing, but like you know I have that asset at my disposal, so why wouldn't I use it? Just like I have the old owner at my disposal as an asset, and everybody else inside of it. I mean, I don't know how many people are underneath the Holdings company at this point. I think there's 70, 68, 69 people under Escajeda Contracting right now. So we're got to be upwards towards 200 something at the Holdings. 200-300, I don't know, you know, but that's a lot of brains, you know, that's a lot of experience, that's a lot of communicative like work experience, you know.
That's the other thing is that's a lot of families that, you know, are having good Christmases and nice birthdays and good vacations, but like I carry that heavily on me with my guys, with my company. Like I got to make sure I keep them busy.
Just like I'm
we
sure
gotta
Paul
work.
did. And,
Yeah. Like I'm trying to keep this thing moving. So like I try to explain, like there's a lot of weight on us to keep the thing rolling, you know? Just like, and I it's important to me that the people that work for me have good jobs, are happy, you know? They give me full effort, I give them full effort, you know? The same token, you know, everyone doesn't get the same version, you know? Everyone don't get the same version, everyone, you know? But if we have employees that are giving full effort, you know, they're being taken care of,
Absolutely.
you know? And I've worked on enough wild ass jobs where I didn't enjoy myself. It is called work, so work is work. But like the more we can make it, you know, somewhat enjoyable, you know, it's not like miserable to wake up and you're dragging, or Sunday night you're like, I can't believe I gotta go there. You know, if I can create that little bit better of environment, I think it even comes in putting out better product when the dudes are a little bit, and it's tough. I mean, it's work.
We were talking about that yesterday. Like,
It's
I don't
work.
think no matter. I did that when I washed dishes at Old Country Buffet. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, we're all kind of wired the same. Where it's like, you know, we have a job, regardless of what that job is, and we're wired to like do the best we can, no matter what that costs or what that takes, you know. And like I said, I mean,
Even if we are messing up, we're still trying.
oh yeah, right, yeah. By no means am I not. Do I do everything perfect? And
Right.
I owe at least 6 apologies just today alone, you know, after the day that I had. But, you know.
That's great.
We're trying, you know. And that's like all you can really ask of anybody, you know what I mean? And just try, like, you know, show up 8 hours a day, you know what I mean? Work, try. You know, you can always accept somebody that screws up. They were trying.
Yeah.
It's like they screw up because of the laziness and carelessness is what's tough, a tough pill to swallow, you know?
For sure. The biggest thing that I think would change our projections, at least on my end for sure, yours might be a little different because you got some more inside stuff than I do. Almost everything I do is outside. So the weather will sometimes jar my projections, but I mean, we have to know where we're at. We need to know if we need to attack another way to secure some more work another way, but we need to know where we're at.
That's the same. I mean, it's weather. Weather is the same thing for me too. I mean, let alone, you know, all the what Bronson adds to the monthly revenue. But you know, when my deck shut down and when my roofing shuts down and siding shuts down, it just like we are running we fire at all cylinders, you know, and not that it's relying on that, but that's what the business is, you know, and there's always extra strategies, and dude, when I would watch that weather so much, you know, I was interior carpenter or floor cover for 17, 18 years. I didn't watch the weather. I watched the weather to golf. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was mad if it rained on the weekends. You know what I mean? I wanted it rained during the week. Now I was watching the weather every day. Wanted to rain at night and the weekends and just be nice. So I didn't have to worry about what I was going to do with 15, 17 guys the next day. You know, but you know, it was with some help with some people around Mikey and him, and being able to plan and think, and like we know, like I know, like I got jobs in my head that one, either we can do when that weather really hits, or two, you know, we got something open and it's looking like a bad week. Like I can, I got to go by cruise, and I can boom, 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 and then move some people here and there. And good thing, I mean, our guys are so talented that you could put them pretty much anywhere and they can be productive and make a customer happy. But but it's not like you can start a job. You can't start a job because it rained for 2 days with a crew. You know what I mean? And then how the hell you finish it? You know what I mean? So it's like, but how do you put them somewhere where it's not going to hurt the margins, but it's going to keep everybody working?
Yeah.
And be productive, you know. And there's guys that like I got a handful of guys that I could literally probably get 5 guys and just dump on them in the morning, and I'll walk away safe and sound knowing that guy will know how to keep all those guys busy and be productive. You know what I mean? There's some really good guys and good thinkers and good workers, efficient workers here that like you can rely on to just like, here's 5 guys for today. You know what I mean? And and then they make it work. Kev being one of them for sure.
Hardest part for me, taking over and running day-to-day operations on multiple jobs, I think going home and knowing that I had to make sure we were procuring work to keep everything going. I think that was the hardest part for me, you know, because as the regime change came in, as I came in and took over for the old owner of Three Rivers, you know, he handled some stuff differently, how he went about getting work. And I wanted to make sure there were no grievances with customers, no surprises. He liked to do a lot of stuff, a lot of verbally. I like to do a lot of stuff so we don't have problems at the end. I don't want customers having, I would give a number, no paperwork, no contract, or completely surprise them at the end.
Yeah, that's tough.
And I was like put through that a little bit at the very beginning. I was like,
yeah, I didn't like to see that.
I want to surprise them.
Yeah,
I'll give them, and I do it to the day now. I give them kind of the worst case scenario, and then that way, if I am giving them a price and it's a few $100s less, they're happy. Right. I would much rather me be $200 less than tell them $500 more. You know what I mean? And then they're like, wow.
Be disgruntled and and then never call you again.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, everything, you know, is strictly reputation. We don't, on our end, we don't do much advertising.
Yeah.
You know, so for the hardest part for me was, I carried it pretty heavily to make sure we had enough work. But as I got going, it didn't seem hard to.
Yeah.
You know, we do what we say we're gonna do, and we show up when we say we're gonna show up. You know, it's pretty.
Yeah. Hardest part for me, it's a very loaded question, and I guess I never really sat long enough to think about that. You know.
Me neither.
There's quite a few things running through my mind. You know, one being, you know, the chaos and mixed with ADD and how like I'm like half tempted at 40 years old to go back to a psychologist and get prescribed Ritalin again. So like I could hone my day in like so you know. But when you get you get answer one phone call and then you have 3 during that phone call that you got to return when you're done with that phone call, and then you're having the conversation on speakerphone so you can text reply at the same time the other people, you know. That one of my big faults I know is I always expect myself to be perfect. I don't expect perfection out of anybody but myself.
Right.
You know, and like that goes in work and outside of work, and when I fall short, because I'm obviously going to fall short all the time, I really like to beat myself up about it. I'm having like a shorter memory when it comes to that kind of stuff, especially with like, you know, if I thought I failed as a boss to some employees, you know what I mean, and I'll always always try to make it right, you know. Apologize where I have to apologize, whatever, make amends, you know. But there's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of personalities. A lot of, like I was saying before, with that collaborative leadership training, you know what I mean? Learning how to deal with different personalities in the correct manner to you know, get through to those people and those specific personality types. But you learn the people you're around. You learn how to talk to the people. You learn how to get through. One guy might not be very receptive at getting yelled at. It might do absolutely nothing but make it worse. You know what I mean? And not that I want to be a guy that's yelling all the time. My voice usually carries, and it increases as my heart rate gets up. But it doesn't really necessarily mean I'm yelling. I'm just, my voice is getting louder. You know. But I feel like there's an endless list of difficulties, and that varies every day of what like is top number one on that list. You know what I mean? Hardest thing for me for today. I know at the end, I know there's been multiple days that like I've left and went home I got like a 45-minute ride home, and so I usually have a lot of time to think. And sometimes it's just so defeated. I'm defeated. You know what I mean? I'm like, can I do this? You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm like, well, I could go back lay carpet tile at the steel building. You know what I mean? It'd be all right. You know what I mean? I'd just be fine. You know? But then like my eyes open at 3:30 in the morning, and I'm like, let's get it. You know what I mean? And I'm ready to go right back. Yep. You know, and whatever was the hardest thing and the difficulties of the day before no longer exist, and like, or though they might have beat me down yesterday, like I'm ready to battle them today, you know, and it's a new fight every day, and it's a different opponent every day, but I think the adaptability is the one thing that like keeps me running and trying to like come back for more, you know what I mean? And like I said before, my pride and ego, dude, my pride and ego is heavy. That like, I don't want to fail, you know what I mean? I don't want you to say I failed. I just don't want to.
And if I did, I'd fucking try.
Oh yeah, right. Oh, trust me. I look at myself in the mirror a lot.
Like I try to win every day, and then like, man, it could be a total fucking disaster one day, but you wake up the next day and all right, start over. Hey, obviously we didn't make it enjoyable enough for him, or at least Steve didn't, because he's not here no more. I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose.
That's good. Please keep it in.
That's fantastic. Steve won't watch the end of it. Steve would have to watch the whole thing to hear that anyway.
Yeah.